Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be two very exciting to watch competitors. It is Caninana, the Zerg bot, taking on DominionDog, the red Terran bot. And yes, DominionDog is a bot that's a really interesting case. I was thinking about before I started casting this game, because it sort of came out onto the scene. It's been around a while, but it sort of reached like real heights a while back, and then it kind of fell off a little bit. But now it's got some small updates, it seems, and it's doing pretty well, and no major bugs or anything like that, which does make it an exciting to watch bot once more with a very unique style. And we'll just see how it does on the backdrop of a bot like Caninana. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this video, if you guys can go ahead and click that like button. If we can get 1 like for every feet that a drone has, every foot that a drone has, I don't know. These guys kind of just float along, but maybe they're like centipedes. That would mean a lot of likes. But anyway, leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. Subscribe if you haven't already, and check out the links down below if you do wish to support the channel or use the YouTube membership. So we do have a bit of an interesting initial move by DominionDog, as it goes for an SCV scout, which is just DominionDog saying, hey, I want that information early on, which is very respectable. However, it does mean that's 1 dead SCV. And yeah, just tag 153 scouting normal, which is interesting because a lot of bots would look at Caninana's early pool and go, that's not really normal. That's an early spawning pool. We know Caninana does that just for macro games, but still, like, yeah, that's interesting to see. So I do wonder what the conditions are for a scout to be considered normal for DominionDog. The Reaper comes on in, doesn't get a drone, gets shown the door thanks to that early queen, thanks to that early spawning pool. Then DominionDog does have its own command center going up back at home. Looks like 2 drones have already died. Or pardon me, not 2 drones, 2 scouting lings have already been killed, as the Reaper is trying to grab a drone that goes for the 3rd base. However, it does allow that drone to sneak on by. That is the problem. Perception of units outside of your vision is something that's very difficult to program into bots. That's why a lot of bots tend to just forget units are there when they're out of range. I do believe some of the more advanced bots do track, like, oh, hey, there was a unit there. And that's definitely the case when it comes to things like siege tanks, because you need to remember where a tank is, because it can shoot you when it's out of your vision. But yeah, for example, if DominionDog did maybe have some sort of memory or check to keep track of units when they popped out of the vision, it could have got that drone. So a bit of a lost opportunity there. Yes, behind this, though, we do have the Terran bot playing a very human-esque build, which makes sense, seeing as how it is programmed by real human beings. But yes, it's just a 1-1-1, Banshees and Hellions, so a bit of a glass cannon composition for a Terran opening, but it does provide you that safety against lings. With the Hellions, it provides you the safety against roaches. With the Banshees, a lot of potential for harassment, as both of these unit types can harass pretty effectively. Drones for Caninana see the Hellions coming up, and they just plant themselves like potatoes. This is denying some mining time, so that's quite nice. And the Hellions actually get a shot off, and that's a danger. Just because you're burrowed doesn't mean you can't be killed. Now, the Hellions are retreating against some lings here, which is interesting. Just retreating, not doing a retreat shoot. But still, we see more mining time being denied at this 3rd base, and while this isn't a lot of actual drone kills, just the presence of the Hellion forcing that burrow is quite nice. These Hellions, though, again, they are just being chased away. Caninana splitting off like a single ling to chase each Hellion. That's That's definitely interesting. The Hellions could be shooting as they pull back, though. But, yes, we do have Caninana playing it safe. Like always, it's got Spore Crawlers on the way, which presumably means it has seen the Banshee, and the Banshee is now coming forward to start poking. Cloak is already done. Hyperflight Rotors is on the way to help that Banshee out. And then we do have DominionDog getting not one, but 2 command centers behind this, meaning that it will have a very strong economy if it is allowed the time to reap the rewards from that, which against Caninana is a fairly sure bet, because Caninana isn't a bot that gets aggressive all that often. Sometimes it does, but not that often. Now we do have attempted Link Scouts still going on. DominionDog has got 1 armory up. It's getting up a 2nd as well. That will allow upgrades to benefit these Hellions, benefit these Banshees. And then Caninana just getting up its 4th base, so later than that of DominionDog. It's behind a little bit on the economy, but that's okay. Caninana is behind in the economy pretty much every game we see of it, because it does routinely just delay its economy, play it nice and safe, and then power up with the late game units. Changelings are running on in. Nothing killing that Changeling just yet, as DominionDog is just chilling back at home for now. Its actual army is very small. There hasn't been too many losses on either side, actually, though. As we look at the units lost tab, barely anything has died this game. Despite all the action at the front of the Zerg's base, the Banshees really are just chilling back at home. The Overseers of Caninana are present now and just keeping vision on everything. Looks like the Banshees are like, hey, that's a threat right there. But they really can't do much about that. We'll see if there's going to be a Viking. Vikings can be very effective against this mass over strategy that Caninana employs, as, well, they're easy pickings. Now, the Terran is getting up a 5th base behind this, so again, taking that economic lead and running with it, as it's 70 SCVs with against 56 drones. DominionDog consistently producing those workers, just trying to get up to the strongest economy possible, as 1-1 is on the way. And then we've got multiple Vikings on the way as well, multiple starports going on up. And the Terran's production is just starting to boom. Again, the army supply is quite low, so it's going to take some time before that really starts ramping up. But it's not going to be that long, because eventually DominionDog will stop building SCVs here. And then it's just going to be units, units, units for the most part. I think Vikings are now out. We see them starting to chase these Overseers of Caninana. Again, that's really nice for DominionDog. DominionDog does have its bases rather vulnerable. No planetary fortress at any of these expansions, so there is potential for Ling harassment if Caninana chooses to move out and do that. We've got a very interesting creep pattern here, as Caninana just spreading 2 tumors by 2 tumors. That's very cool to see. However, the Banshees say no more of that creep, no more of that gross stuff, as Raven is providing vision, and then the Banshees are just moving in to engage the Queens of Caninana. Caninana doesn't have that much anti-air. It prints the tag Corruptor, so presumably it's going to start building some of those soon. But Banshees are pretty good against Queens, particularly with the 1-1 upgrades we see right now. Caninana has got 10 Queens out, though, so the Banshees can't quite threaten them and overpower them just yet. That time may be coming, though, as we see the Banshees take some damage for DominionDog. Presumably they're going home and being repaired, and we do see that. Something that's very cool for DominionDog, they're not just retreating to the main base, they're retreating to a base location that isn't as far of a trip. Little things like that do add up, and we see the Banshees just coming in, fighting, getting pushed away. So far, not making any real headway. Raven's dropping auto turrets too. We're getting 5 Banshees at a time. Hellbat's added into the composition. A few non-upgraded Marines, because why not? The Terran bot is getting up towards the 6th base as well. That means there's going to be a lot of mules getting dropped, a lot of mules on the map. Vikings can skirmish with the Corruptors, which Caninana is building, but look at this. There's 11 Banshees out on the map. We're going to need to see some Infestors dropping Fungals to catch these Banshees soon. Otherwise, things will be very concerning for Caninana. There is some Spore Crawlers out. Queen's trying to do what they can. Corruptors doing what they can. The Vikings are employed, although there's only one trying to deal with these Corruptors somewhere in the mix as this game just descends into pure chaos. I'll try and keep the camera as steady as possible. But when it does come to these bot games, it's a bit of a struggle. DominionDog sending some Hellions out, securing up the upper left base. There is this base now starting to mine happily, so the Terran's economy is phenomenal. Caninana's is not bad by any metric, really. But it's Starcraft 2. It's not about what you've got. It's about what you've got compared to your opponent. And right now we're just seeing a lot of Overseers. Caninana is like, that's a lot of cloaked units. I need a lot of Overseers. And for now, they're just retreating. DominionDog is coming in again, though. This Terran bot is maxed out their Spore Crawlers to provide some vision. We do see a pretty good fungal there from Caninana, catching a lot of the Banshees. Corruptors are kind of being distracted here by the Vikings, which can just kite once the Corruptors go after them, but so far a good hold by the Blue Zerg. Caninana is just, it's not in a very comfortable position, as this could easily start to snowball, but that was a very good deflection of DominionDog. Look at that. The Banshees go home. They group up, and now they're going back on in. There's lots of changelings in the mix, which is a little bit goofy here. Roaches, though, not going to help too much against these Banshees. Maybe absorb some shots and distract the Banshees a bit, and they actually are kind of doing that as they just run for their lives. Caninana is even building more Roaches, which is a little bizarre. You don't really need Roaches against a mass Banshee composition. We see the Viking count has got a little bit out of hand, as DominionDog can just shoot down these Overseers en masse. If you kill the Overseers, then the Banshees can't really be contested that easily. Queens are doing what they can for Caninana. We have Corruptors, we have Hydras being added into the mix for anti-air. No range on those Hydras just yet. That will be a very important upgrade depending how long this game goes on. I do love the triple Spore Crawler around this base for the Blue Zerg. That will prevent some harassment, but how's the overall trades going on right now? In fact, things are basically neck and neck as far as value, but that means DominionDog's in a good position because it's got such a superior economy to Caninana. As I say that, it looks like Caninana is actually in the lead, but I'm pretty sure DominionDog is mining more. We see a very nice fungal growth. We see some queens doing work as they drop transfuses, hide in the ground for a moment as all the Overseers keep dying. Vikings landing can get dispatched by the Roaches pretty easily. Creep now is spreading towards that upper left location. The location in the bottom right was actually taken out, though, as DominionDog does some work. Just one Spore Crawler is not enough at these bases to defend them, so that's a significant economic blow. Queens intercepting some Banshees. Hydras are just so squishy against the Banshees. They die so quickly. Queens with their transfuse can skirmish a little bit more. They actually have better anti-air than Hydras, I believe. Yeah, it's what, 6 versus 7 range, something like that. Where's a Hydra? We can double check that. Yeah, 6 versus 7. So Queens are still pretty good against those Banshees in the skies. We see a couple of Infestors getting hunted down by DominionDog. DominionDog is coming in with Fury as the Banshees are pretty softened up. We see a beautiful fungal by Caninana. A couple of the Infestors were killed there, but not all of them. That allows the Zerg to get a pretty good trade here, or at least a good enough trade. My concern, though, is that DominionDog is mining uncontested right now. It's got this location in the bottom right building. It's got the location in the upper left. Caninana hasn't been able to section off any units in order to harass those locations. This base is in trouble. I don't think Caninana can afford to lose another base. The Spore Crawler will just be butchered so quickly. The drones are burrowing, and then a Raven shows itself, so they unburrow. We are having the Queens kill a lot of these Banshees and just do pretty well against them, but it's just a game of numbers. Now we see DominionDog's true economy shining through here. The mules alone are just going to give the Terrans such an economic advantage. 8 mules on the map right now. Interesting how DominionDog splits them up as well. It seems like maybe the command centers dropped them just at the closest base towards that command center. I don't know, actually. But Caninana holds on for another moment. It's rebuilding the Spore Crawlers at this base. That's massively important as the Banshees are coming on in once more. The Spores finish just in time to help out against these. Hydras are present. We see they have to get closer to the Banshees, and then the Banshees can just pick them off, though. The Zerg is trying to hold on for now. And, I mean, it's doing a decent job as the Queens are dropping endless transfuses, but none going into the hatchery there to save it. So the hatchery goes down. down. That's a big blow to the economy of Caninana, and there's just no counter harassment by the Zerg. If the Zerg had a few Lings or something harassing, I think it would be able to shut down the economy of DominionDog. DominionDog defends itself by just being endlessly aggressive. This is preventing any sort of move out by Caninana. We are getting +3 attack on the way for the Zerg. That will definitely help out. The Queens will benefit from that. The Hydras will benefit from that. And so maybe that will make a difference because Caninana has been fighting without those upgrades for now. Supply, though, is mighty slow to go back up for the Zerg. DominionDog has been off Caninana for a moment, but supply hasn't really budged that much. It's up to 167. That's not the number we're looking for. We're looking for the Zerg to hold on to hit 200 supply. Can a Fungal maybe allow a decisive cleanup here for Caninana? So far, nothing. Hydra's moving forward. The Overseers are removed from the equation, though, so there's actually no detection, and that means the Banshees get phenomenal trades. Look at these Vikings killing the Overseers so quickly. There's a Fungal, but it's too late. The army of Caninana was butchered when they didn't have any detection, and so DominionDog is going to be able to take this one as the last of the Zerg economy is going to be cleaned up. The Vikings even landed. Very cool to see. And yeah, DominionDog really gets away with it here as it just doesn't get harassed at all, which I think really could have slowed down its economy, and then maybe that would allow Caninana to hold on. But Caninana just defending with the lower economy isn't enough. I'm not sure what the Zerg author could change, maybe like doubling the spores, something like that. It's really tricky because DominionDog plays a nasty style. The Viking Banshee combo really causes problems because it's just how many Overseers have gone down this game. It is 19 Overseers were killed this game, and if there's not a Spore Crawler present, the Banshees can just cloak, and then the Zerg units basically have to run. This game is over here. I'm actually a little bit curious how the programming works for Caninana, because I'm wondering if all the units burrowed when there was just like one of the Banshees cloaks. So let's see here. Yeah, the Hydras, they're a little unsure what to do. Yeah, all the Banshees are cloaked. Let's slow this down a little bit. What do we get from Caninana's vision? The answer is, okay, it's got like an Overseer poking forward. We see the Banshees. There's like one uncloaked. But the Zerg, yeah, these Queens, they do all burrow because they can't see all the units, but there is units on the screen they can see right now. So it's just the presence of really any cloaked units, it seems. Like probably these ones here, because Caninana knows there's a cloaked unit it can't see nearby. I'm not saying this would have changed the fight at all. I think it was pretty much over at this point. But it's like, okay, maybe there's some wiggle room for improvement there, something like that. Because they quickly unburrow again. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's just keep going. Yeah, the Queens are fighting. Okay, so maybe Caninana seems to be pretty logical. I'm not sure what could actually be done here. It's just a very tricky composition. I don't know. Maybe parking Overseers, something like that. Bots have unlimited action. And whereas if you put the Overseers into oversight mode, again, it does provide them more vision, so that means they don't have to get as close to the Vikings. So who knows? Maybe just sporadically putting the Overseers into that mode would be the next upgrade, because like they could be, in theory, providing the vision, but be 25% further back. A human can't do this. A human cannot unsiege their Overseers, and then yeah, they can't unsiege their Overseers and resiege them every second, but a bot can. And so I'm wondering, is that something we could see? I'm not sure we've seen a bot author use observation mode before, though. So I'm not sure if... I think it's possible in the API, but that could be something worth exploring, because that 25% vision is quite a bit. When there's basically no cooldown on the siege up and the unsiege for them, it could make the difference. I don't know, maybe it just doesn't work in practice because the Vikings can just dive on the Overseers then, but it's like, okay, maybe that would be an adjustment here. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, though, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed this game, click that like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel. Caninana's Fungals are definitely on point, but yeah, just a very nasty composition. Maybe Vipers as well. But then again, bots can just split against what bots can just split against the Vipers, and the Vikings, of course, target them down, so probably not, I guess. It really is tricky. Incredibly, incredibly tricky. Maybe it was just too many roaches from Caninana. If it had not built the, I don't know, 50 roaches in this game, if it had just built more Hydras, maybe that would have been enough. I understand why it builds the roaches. There is valid ground targets, but when you're up against an air composition that's as focused as this, you need, like, as focused of a response. Hydras can deal with Hellbats. Hydras can deal with single Marines on the ground. Or just even more Queens. Who knows? Maybe the answer to this strategy is literally just build more Queens. Queens and Infestors only could very well be it, because the Queens with their endless transfuse, like, that's a lot of opportunity for dealing with this. At least defensively. They're not great offensively, as we've seen with Queenbot. Yeah, maybe we need to do a Queenbot versus DominionDog game to see how that goes. I think the answer is probably pretty clear that DominionDog would most likely win, but you never know. Queenbot plus Infestors, something like that. Could be all you need. Sometimes simple is better. I don't even know where I'm at with the outro for this one. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You guys are the best. You always blow it out of the water with the support of the channel, so thank you to everyone who does that, and I'll see you guys next time.